In the distant future, humanity has reached the stars, colonizing planets and establishing vast networks of space stations. Amid this golden age of exploration, rumors of a lost, alien artifact called the Nexus of Worlds begin to surface, a device that allegedly holds the key to traveling between alternate realities. But the Nexus is not just a legend, and its reappearance threatens to tear the fabric of spacetime apart. The story follows Lieutenant Ava Drake, a skilled pilot and ex-soldier, who is recruited by a secretive organization known as the Syndicate. Her mission is to lead a team of specialists in the search for the Nexus before it falls into the wrong hands. Along the way, Ava uncovers shocking truths about her past, the alien races that once dominated the galaxy, and the dangerous power of the Nexus itself. Ava Drake is living a quiet life on the outer rim planet Irius IV, haunted by memories of a tragic military mission. One day, she is approached by an enigmatic figure named Captain Orion, offering her a chance at redemption, a mission to find the Nexus of Worlds. Ava is skeptical, but she's given an offer she can't refuse, a promise to clear her name and uncover the truth behind the deaths of her former crew. Ava agrees to the mission and meets her team, including Dr. Elena Voss, a brilliant xenobiologist with a deep knowledge of ancient alien civilizations. Jax Ryder, a mercenary with questionable morals but unmatched combat skills. Kai, an AI hacker who's been embedded into the ship's system, with a dry sense of humor. They are briefed about the Nexus, a device that opens pathways to alternate dimensions, said to have been created by the extinct Elderly, an ancient alien race. The team boards the state-of-the-art spaceship Astralis and sets out for the Void Sector, a region of space long believed to be haunted by remnants of Elderly technology. Along the way, Ava and Jax develop a tense rivalry, while Dr. Voss reveals disturbing details about the Nexus, including its rumored ability to alter reality itself. As they enter the Void Sector, they begin receiving strange signals. The signals are fragmented and seem to come from an unknown ship. The signals are deciphered as a warning: beware the Nexus, those who seek it are doomed. Ava is plagued by nightmares of her failed military mission, but the dreams begin to blur with her waking life as she starts to see phantom images of her old crew aboard the Astralis. Meanwhile, the crew investigates a derelict Elderly outpost, where they encounter unsettling signs of recent activity. The team tracks the signals to a rift in space, a tear in the fabric of the universe. They realize the Nexus may be drawing energy from this rift, linking alternate realities. Dr. Voss discovers ancient texts that suggest the Nexus is not just a tool, but a weapon capable of collapsing entire universes. While investigating the rift, the team is ambushed by a group of rival treasure hunters led by the ruthless Captain Soren, who is also after the Nexus. A space battle ensues, and the Astralis narrowly escapes. Ava realizes they're not the only ones chasing the Nexus. Tensions rise as Ava suspects one of her crew is leaking information to Soren. She grows particularly wary of Jax, whose past connections to mercenary groups come into question. Kai, the ship's AI, begins to act strangely, issuing cryptic warnings about an imminent threat to the ship. The crew arrives at Cryos 9, a shattered planet that holds clues to the Nexus location. The planet was once a thriving world but was torn apart in an experiment with alternate dimensions. Dr. Voss deciphers ancient Elderly hieroglyphs, revealing that the Nexus is hidden inside a temporal anomaly. Ava and the crew navigate their way into the temporal anomaly, which distorts time and space. Inside, they witness eerie flashes of other realities, including alternate versions of themselves. As they venture deeper, they encounter shadowy figures, beings that seem to exist outside of time. The crew finally locates the Nexus, a massive, crystalline structure that pulses with energy. Ava is overcome by a strange sense of familiarity, as if she's seen it before. Dr. Voss warns that interacting with the Nexus could have catastrophic consequences, but Ava is determined to use it to find out the truth about her past. Just as they're about to secure the Nexus, Captain Soren's crew arrives, engaging in a brutal battle over control of the device. In the chaos, Jax betrays the team, revealing he was working for Soren all along. He sabotages the Astralis, leaving Ava and the others stranded inside the anomaly. Soren activates the Nexus, causing the fabric of reality to begin unraveling. Alternate versions of Ava's crew appear and disappear in flashes, making it hard to tell what's real. Ava manages to disable the Nexus temporarily, but the damage has already begun. The anomaly begins collapsing around them. Dr. Voss makes a desperate choice to stay behind and stabilize the anomaly, allowing Ava and the rest of the team to escape. As the anomaly starts to close, Voss reveals a shocking truth: Ava's military mission wasn't a failure, it was a cover-up related to the Nexus. Ava, Jax, now under arrest, and Kai barely escape the anomaly as it collapses, destroying Cryos 9 and trapping Soren and his crew inside. Back aboard the Astralise, Ava receives a transmission from an unknown source: "You're getting closer. The truth about the Nexus will destroy everything you think you know." The transmission cuts out, leaving Ava and the crew with more questions than answers as they set course for their next destination. Ava and her crew narrowly escape the collapse of the Nexus anomaly, but they're left with more questions than answers. The Syndicate, the government, and rival factions have their own agendas, and Ava begins to realize that the Nexus' true purpose goes far beyond a simple tool for dimensional travel. The stakes are higher, alliances are tested, and Ava must face impossible choices that will shape the future of multiple universes. After escaping the anomaly, Ava and her crew are disoriented. They are unsure of what is real, as they briefly passed through several fractured timelines. On board the Astralise, Ava discovers strange inconsistencies, memories that don't belong to her and phantom glitches in Kai's AI system. Ava begins to suspect that her team has been exposed to the Nexus power more than they realize, potentially linking them to alternate realities. The team debates the dangers of continuing the mission. Jax, now a prisoner, warns Ava that many factions, including the government, will stop at nothing to control the Nexus. Dr. Elena Voss's final message resurfaces in Ava's mind: the Syndicate knew about the Nexus long before their mission, and they've been covering up its catastrophic potential. Ava receives a distress signal from a nearby outpost, where survivors of the Nexus anomaly warn her that the device is beginning to tear apart multiple dimensions. The crew sets a course for Icarus Station, a derelict research station once used by the Syndicate to study the Nexus. The station is orbiting a dying star, creating an eerie backdrop. On Icarus Station, they find logs detailing the Syndicate's unethical experiments on alien technology and multiverse manipulation. Ava and the crew realize that they are not the first to attempt to control the Nexus. They encounter an alternate version of Ava, who warns them of an impending event called the Collapse, a point at which all realities will merge into one catastrophic event. The crew sets a course for Icarus Station, a derelict research station once used by the Syndicate to study the Nexus. The station is orbiting a dying star, creating an eerie backdrop. On Icarus Station, they find logs detailing the Syndicate's unethical experiments on alien technology and multiverse manipulation. Ava and the crew realize that they are not the first to attempt to control the Nexus. They encounter an alternate version of Ava, who warns them of an impending event called the Collapse, a point at which all realities will merge into one catastrophic event. Ava and the team stumble upon a time loop created by the Nexus, where they encounter events from their own pasts replaying in haunting detail. Ava witnesses the tragic events of her failed military mission, but this time with new context: her failure was engineered by the Syndicate to push her into this mission. These visions bring Ava closer to the truth about her connection to the Nexus. The crew finds themselves being hunted by Captain Soren, who survived the collapse of the anomaly and now has access to a fragment of the Nexus. Soren's mind has been warped by the fragment, making him obsessed with using its power to rule across dimensions. Ava learns that the Syndicate and multiple shadow organizations have been working together to keep the Nexus' true power a secret. Jax, the former traitor, starts to soften, revealing that his betrayal was out of desperation. He had no idea the Syndicate's plans were this sinister. While evading Soren's fleet, the Astralise encounters a rift in space caused by Nexus instability. The crew is sucked into an alternate dimension where their world has been devastated by war caused by the Nexus falling into the wrong hands. In this alternate reality, they meet Ava's doppelganger, who has become a hardened soldier leading a resistance against a tyrannical regime empowered by the Nexus. Ava realizes that the Syndicate's plan could lead to a future where all universes are enslaved under one controlling power. Ava's doppelganger reveals a way to temporarily close the rift between dimensions using a device known as the chronostabilizer. However, it requires a dangerous and unstable energy source, the dying star near Icarus Station. The team hatches a risky plan to harness the star's energy to stabilize the Nexus effects temporarily. Meanwhile, Soren and the Syndicate are closing in, both seeking to stop Ava. The plan sets in motion, but time is running out as the dimensional rifts continue to spread. The crew returns to Icarus Station, but they are immediately ambushed by Syndicate forces led by General Cato. The Syndicate has brought an elite strike team to secure the Nexus for their own use. A massive battle unfolds inside the crumbling station, with Ava and her team fighting off Syndicate soldiers and Soren's mercenaries who also arrive to claim the Nexus fragment. During the chaos, Jax sacrifices himself to buy Ava and the crew time to activate the chronostabilizer. The chronostabilizer is activated, temporarily halting the dimensional rifts and stabilizing the Nexus. However, the device only buys them limited time. Ava retrieves the Nexus fragment from Soren, but as soon as she touches it, she experiences flashes of every possible version of herself across countless realities, each facing their own struggles. Ava realizes that the Nexus is not just a tool, it's a living entity, a force that responds to the will of those who possess it. As Ava grapples with the Nexus fragment's power, she learns that it can be used to reshape reality, but at a tremendous cost, sacrificing all alternate versions of those who wield it. Essentially, she could become the sole version of herself across every reality. Meanwhile, General Cato corners the crew, demanding that Ava hand over the fragment. Ava faces a moral dilemma: use the Nexus to stop Cato and save her team, or refuse and risk losing everything. In a moment of clarity, Kai, the ship's AI, suggests that the Nexus is manipulating all of them, pushing them towards a single, fateful decision. Just as Ava prepares to destroy the Nexus fragment, Dr. Voss, who Ava believed was dead, appears, having survived by embedding herself in a pocket dimension. Voss has her own agenda. She wants to harness the Nexus to correct all the wrongs across every reality. Voss offers Ava a choice: join her and use the Nexus to fix all the damage caused by the Syndicate and Soren, or destroy it and leave countless realities to their fates. The crew is divided, with some urging Ava to take Voss's offer while others warn that it could lead to unintended consequences across the multiverse. Ava begins to experience strange, fleeting visions of alternate realities, each showing versions of herself and her crew living out radically different lives. Some of these visions are peaceful, while others are horrifying, depicting catastrophic events in which they all failed. These ghosts begin to bleed into their current reality, causing confusion and fear among the crew. Kai, the AI, starts to malfunction, showing signs of sentience from other realities where he became something more than just an AI. This new, more human-like version of Kai warns Ava that she's getting closer to becoming one with the Nexus herself. Ava's internal struggle intensifies, as she begins to doubt whether destroying the Nexus is the right choice. Could she use its power to prevent the catastrophes she's seen in these alternate realities? The dimensional rifts created by the Nexus are spreading rapidly, and Ava's crew is now facing an existential threat as entire star systems begin to disappear or merge with parallel versions of themselves. The Syndicate's fleets, along with other factions, the Drakari Collective and the Seraphian Order, all begin to converge on the Nexus, each wanting to control it. This triggers a massive space battle, with factions fighting not just to seize control of the Nexus but to protect their own realities from merging or collapsing. Ava's ship, the Astralise, is caught in the crossfire, and the crew is forced to navigate through chaotic, shifting realities in real time. Planets appear and disappear, gravity changes unpredictably, and physics themselves begin to break down. Ava realizes the Nexus is growing more unstable with each passing hour, warping reality to the point where even time is starting to distort. They must act soon, or risk losing the fabric of reality itself. In a desperate attempt to broker peace between the warring factions, Ava and her crew are summoned to a secret meeting by the Council of Shadows, an ancient and hidden organization that has been watching over the Nexus since its discovery. The Council reveals that they've been manipulating events for centuries to keep the Nexus from falling into the wrong hands, but with the Syndicate's interference, their control has slipped. They offer Ava a dark bargain. The Council will help her stop the Syndicate and Soren, but in return, Ava must seal the Nexus forever, locking away its power so that no one can ever use it again, including herself. Ava is torn between accepting their help, knowing it could mean she'll never be able to save the alternate realities she's witnessed, or rejecting them and trying to find a way to control the Nexus herself. The Council provides Ava with a powerful dimensional stabilizer, capable of containing the Nexus energy temporarily, but the device comes with a severe cost. It requires the sacrifice of a living being attuned to the Nexus to power it. Jax, having survived the earlier battles, offers to make the sacrifice. Feeling guilty for his earlier betrayal, he sees this as a way to atone. However, Tessa, a close crew member, reveals that she has secretly been attuned to the Nexus for years, making her the ideal candidate. Ava faces an impossible decision: sacrifice Jax, Tessa, or herself to power the stabilizer and give them time to decide the Nexus' fate. Meanwhile, the Nexus itself grows aware of these events, subtly influencing Ava's thoughts, making her question whether the Nexus should even be contained at all. Perhaps this is what the universe needs, a rebirth. As Ava grapples with the decision of who should sacrifice themselves, she begins to hear whispers from the Nexus. These whispers are fragments of consciousness from the countless alternate realities that have touched the Nexus. They are voices from destroyed timelines, collapsed worlds, and lost lives. The voices offer Ava a tantalizing alternative. Instead of destroying or containing the Nexus, she could use its power to become a godlike being, able to restore balance to the multiverse and prevent any further destruction. Kai, the AI, now fully self-aware due to the Nexus influence, warns Ava that the Nexus is playing with her mind, offering power in exchange for her soul. The longer she holds the Nexus fragment, the harder it will be to resist its pull. As the lines between realities continue to blur, Ava experiences memories of herself making different choices in other timelines, choices that either led to her death or the destruction of the universe. These memories make her question if she's on the right path. The Nexus fragment in Ava's hand begins to pulse with energy, growing stronger. Ava knows they are running out of time, and her final choice, whether to destroy the Nexus, use it, or contain it, draws near. Soren, barely alive, activates a failsafe mechanism on the Nexus fragment, triggering a catastrophic chain reaction that begins to tear apart the dimensional stabilizers. The Nexus begins to reactivate fully, sending shockwaves across multiple realities. Phantom versions of the crew start appearing, and the lines between dimensions blur. Ava realizes that if she doesn't act fast, the Nexus will merge all realities into one chaotic existence, with no distinction between the real and the alternate. With the Nexus fragment in hand, Ava faces the hardest decision of her life: destroy the Nexus and potentially save the galaxy, or use it to rewrite reality at the cost of her alternate selves. General Cato and Voss both attempt to seize control of the Nexus, but Ava refuses to let them. In a heart-pounding final moment, Ava chooses to destroy the Nexus, unleashing a massive energy pulse that ripples across dimensions. The Nexus is shattered, and as the dimensional rifts close, the universe begins to stabilize. However, the effects of the Nexus are felt everywhere, with multiple alternate realities collapsing into one. In the aftermath, Ava realizes that by destroying the Nexus, she has inadvertently created a new singular reality, merging fragments of multiple timelines. Ava's crew is saved, but things are not as they were. Alternate versions of people they knew now exist in this new reality. As the video ends, Ava receives a cryptic message from an unknown source: the Nexus was only the beginning.